Something we don't talk about often is effectiveness. A lot of times we assume that because we're busy doing something that we're effective at what we're doing. We believe that we're productive. And then when things don't go our way, we're shocked. We even blame God. It's like, God, I'm doing all this stuff, but you're not supporting me. You're not giving me the help that I need to get this done. But when we actually sit down and we look at how we really spend our time, often we do things related to our calling or related to a vision or related to a project, but we don't necessarily always focus on the key things. So when you are playing pool, right, the angle that you take to get the angle that you take for that shot matters, right? So if you have a bad angle, you're going to miss the shot. But the better the angle, the more precision you have in making the ball go where you want it to go. So apply that to whatever you're working on. Sometimes our problem is that we're working on things from the wrong angle. And so when we're trying to, nail it in, we can't do it because we're focusing on the wrong thing at the wrong time. So I'll give you an example. With one of my companies, I was spending so much time working on the website that I didn't actually spend enough time actually doing our program and working on moving the organization forward. So just because you're doing something related to an idea you have doesn't mean you're spending your time in the best way that you should. How many of us, when we get an idea, we get a vision for something, we spend like 80% of the time on the logo or, on building the website, and we spend all this time with these fine, intricate details that are not going to impact any souls, bring in any revenue, or move the project, organization, business, whatever it is, toward the actual mission and plan in the first place, right? So, changing the logo isn't going to make, 500 more people or 10,000 more people look at what you're doing. Redesigning the website for the 100th time isn't necessarily going to increase revenue. Spending 10 billion hours on the mission statement, while important, isn't necessarily going to allow you to immediately add value. So God actually placed the value in you, and it is your job to communicate and explain the value of what He's given you to do. And often when you communicate, you are being more effective than working on some website or something. So be mindful. Be very mindful that you're spending your time in the right area. Then here's the thing. We spend our times doing these things that really don't make an impact. And then, the thing is, we refuse to delegate. So even if what we're doing is impactful and important and very serious, right? So if you're a marketing expert, if you're not a marketing expert, why are you spending all your time doing the marketing when there are other gifts that you have, and those things will be more productive for you to do, right? Get help with what you're doing. If you're not a car mechanic, right, don't try to be a YouTube car mechanic and waste your time doing that when you need to drive the organization, you need to drive the project, you need to drive what you're doing. Let the mechanic take care of the mechanic's work. So one of the downsides to having so much access to information and knowledge is that we think that we can do every and anything because there's a YouTube video about it. But focus on what God needs you to focus on. And so sometimes we take what God gives us and we begin to move on it, but we're not moving in the right angle. So we're trying to be the mechanic when we should be the driver, but we have to make sure that we are taking our activities and we're being diligent in the right manner. So we talked about getting help before. Maybe there's an area in what you're working on that you're not an expert at, or you're plainly, frankly, not good at, right? Get somebody to help you. And, if you don't have anybody to help you, and this is something that God has given you, I want you to pray. Ask God to send you the help you need. pray in faith. Don't pray from a victim. Don't pray from, there's nobody who can help me. Pray in faith for God to send you the resources and the people to help take you to the next level. Believe him for that and let him send them in his timing and in his way. So we have to look at things from the right angle. We have to work from the right angle, and we have to move from the right angle if we're going to be productive, effective, and fruitful. So that's going to help us master our minutes so that we can manage our destiny. So let's do it together so that we can get the things that God has given us to do done.